I'm Chelsea Kaufman. I'm co-founder and CEO of Learn Academy, and I'm excited to have a conversation today. We invited three of our alumni to sit on the panel, kind of talk about what they went through this year, what they're working on, what they're looking forward to in 2021. And I'm hoping that we can, have a conversation together and talk about, this very strange year that we had, and hopefully talk about what we can look forward to and maybe what we learned and what we're going to bring into the new year. But as we get started, I'm going to have our panelists introduce ourselves, but if you all could take a minute and kind of introduce yourself in the chat, I think that would be awesome. And we can kind of get started from there. Cool. So for our panelists, if you don't mind, introducing yourself, where you're working or what you're working on, and maybe tell us one piece of technology that you're really excited about that you're working on right now, you're geeking out on right now. Rudy, why don't you start us off?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rudy Becker. I was part of the Alpha 2020 cohort. And right now I'm working at a company called Nanome. It's a virtual reality company that does medicinal drug discovery through 3D manipulation of different proteomes and enzymes. One kind of technology that I'm geeking out on right now is blockchain technology. I'm working on a side client project right now blockchain super hot right now with Bitcoin being at an all-time high. And just super interesting to learning about that technology, and also learning about the economic underpinnings of what it means to have an initial coin offering and dispensing cryptocurrency around the world. And sometimes there are regulations and sometimes there aren't. So really blockchain's emerging tremendously, and it's interesting to see and be working on that.
Oh, thanks, Rudy. April, you want to go next?
Hey everybody, I'm April Rieger. I work at Notch 8. Some technology that I'm really excited about, it's probably not that exciting to everybody else, but just a smart home. So we've been getting the house all ready and geared up for our smart home, and then getting the kids set up with Alexas so that we can help with the routine of school and trying to make everything easier on us during this time. So it's been pretty fun.
Great. Greg, why don't you round us out?
All right. So actually, I one of the things I've been trying to do this year is introduce myself better and find unique and creative ways. So I actually wrote this out. So if you could please just give me some feedback after I speak my written out introduction, that would be great, because I'm trying to make it better so that I'm just not saying the same things over and over, because I feel like I get tired of myself when I hear myself talk or introduce myself, or I put myself to sleep when I'm doing that. So I'm trying not to do that to all of you. So bear with me as I do this. So anyway, hi, my name is Greg, and I work at IDW, where I help humans perform better by helping them utilize the technology available to them as a product manager for our web and mobile division. I'm also very grateful to be serving on the newly created Learn Foundation board, headed by our great leader, Chelsea, and along with some other great business leaders, fellow alumni, and staff as well. And finally, I'm an ECHO 2017 Learn graduate. And then right now I'm geeking out on something called the Bella platform. It's a cloud computing platform that allows you to create digital sound and sensor interactions in as close to real time as possible. Sound and movement and things like that have always been something that I've been interested in. And so bringing that to the IoT world is really interesting. And for IDW, for those of you that don't know, IDW is a publishing and entertainment company. So we tell a variety of stories, from comic book and graphic novel creators to Netflix creators. And one of the things that's interesting is I'm trying to bring play back into the technology that we're utilizing. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. I thought that was very seamless.
And Greg, that's so timely because in the ECHO cohort, we're just wrapping up PD Professional Development Week. And so I just gave the talk on elevator pitches. And so.
Oh, cool. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Practicing those elevator pitches is hard to find the like time to do that. I think especially in weird Zoom land.
Oh, of course. As we were just talking earlier, I mean, the first 30 seconds of your Zoom call as you wait for everybody else to come on is kind of tough. Like you could either sit there in silence. In our company, we allow our staff to either turn on the Zoom camera or not. So when you get into a meeting and you're the only one with your camera turned on, and you have about 5 other people who are like, yep, I'm just not doing it today. Yeah, it can be a little odd. You sit there and you fidget and you're like, okay, what am I actually supposed to do with myself? Do I have any bad habits that I do that I don't notice while I'm on camera too? Yeah, stuff like that.
For sure. Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about this year. And I think looking back even further, like this time last year, were you looking at a year, coming in, trying to come up with goals for the year for yourself? And talk about how that transitioned throughout the year. Like, how did you pivot? What were things that you were looking forward to that you then had to kind of shift and change as the year kept unfolding? Greg, you want to start? We'll go backwards this time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I usually like to operate very much goal oriented. If I don't always make those goals, that's okay. But for me, at least it helps me provide a little bit of guidance in my year and how I organize things and what projects to say yes or no to. So this 2020, I was really excited about life. I was really excited to take on new tech projects, really tech focused. I just wanted to become like the best front end developer that I could imagine. And that's really what I wanted to do. And so once the pandemic hit, I was really focused on trying to keep those things going. I really wanted to say, okay, JavaScript, by the end of the year, JavaScript and CSS, I was going to be the best in the world at it. And I'd be able to teach everybody, create my own courses and stuff like that. And I'd have just a grand old time doing this. And as we hit the beginning of the pandemic, when people started to work from home, and we saw more challenges with building teams online, and we saw even just basic challenges with trying to figure out how to work Zoom out or how to figure out how to make yourself a potato during Zoom calls. Because when I read that article about somebody who made herself into a potato on a Teams meeting, that was it. That was like the top thing that I wanted to do. But I started to realize that these weren't necessarily front end tech goals. These were more, how are you able to provide a system for learning in a way for people of all different tech backgrounds within whatever company you're at? How do you do that so that it's seamless? How do you make it so that it's easy to continue to build teams? How do you make it so that we are human beings, and how do we make it fun? Because a lot of the time Zoom meetings, especially during these dark times, sometimes it makes it so that it's not all that fun. It's yet one more Zoom meeting that you have to be in. And that's tiring. After 6 or 7 Zoom meetings a day, you still have maybe 4 or 5 more hours of work left to go, and you maybe can squeeze in about 2 or 3 of it. And then some of us have families, some of us have outside lives, some of us have things that that has nothing to do with work. I mean, that's really kind of intense. So a lot of my goals shifted from being very much tech and personal oriented to being more human and technology oriented, because I could see that at that juncture in my life that it would be fine if I continued with the JavaScript, HTML and CSS and other front end technologies. But I think the importance of bringing teams together and bringing people together and utilizing the technologies that we were creating, I mean, that was, for me at least, probably the most important thing.
That's great. I think that was a big theme, that I heard a lot across the board, was that idea of engagement and community and connecting with each other. How do we continue to do that in today's world. And I think that definitely was a big part of the shift from, where we thought we were at the beginning of the year towards the end of it. And I think we learned a lot about how to connect with each other in really different ways.
Absolutely.
April, what were you thinking this time last year?
Oh gosh. I was in the middle of a rebrand. I was an art director. I was excited to get going on it and, learn more about marketing and A/B testing, UI, UX. And as soon as the COVID pandemic began, we started losing money and I could no longer be employed. So I got let go and it was devastating. It was really devastating. So I pour everything into my job and I try to do everything to the best of my ability. And I think that was the first time I was actually let go at a job. So all the emotions were raw. I didn't have a support system. I didn't have anything in place. So it was really rough. When I made the decision though, to pivot and become a developer, Chelsea, I've known you for years. We've worked together at Girls in Tech San Diego, the local chapter. And you've always said, become a developer, you like it. And I was like, yes, I do. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time. I can't do it. And decided to do it in the middle of a pandemic with 2 kids that are distance learning at home. So it was definitely a shift in mindset. Coming from working at home remotely by myself to everybody's home now. And you're going to go to school and learn some really hard stuff. So it was difficult, but during my time at Learn, I really needed that interaction. I needed that support. I needed that family, and it was there for me. On top of learning everything that I learned and becoming a full stack developer was pretty amazing. I'm really proud that I was able to complete it. And I'm proud to be employed now at a really amazing company. So all in all, yes, 2020 was a dumpster fire, but so many accomplishments and things to be proud of moving forward.
For sure. Cool. Rudy?
No, thank you, April, for sharing. Yeah, I think during this time, kind of 365 days ago, I was on the beaches of Costa Rica cutting deals for this international service learning company I was working for, working with different kind of local community providers, hotel operators, transportation providers, and working in a completely different industry than the tech industry that I'm working in right now. And the 2020 was the year of the birth of my dev career, and that was becoming part of the Alpha cohort, first cohort of the year in 2020. And are halfway through, COVID hit and we made the pivot. And, I'm so fortunate to have had that experience in person halfway through in person, in the union co-workplace that we all love, sipping on kombucha, talking code and sitting on the couches and listening to Sarah talk and like all those, lovely, times and hanging out in the room. So, I'm so fortunate to have experienced that. And yeah, again, like 2020 has been the year that my dev career has shifted from 0 to 100. Not knowing what, an H1 was or how to write a basic function to kind of now doing what I'm doing is, super impressive, and I'm impressed with myself. And yeah, just again, 2020, I think also has been the year of the growth mindset for me, which I never really experienced kind of this growth mindset kind of in other industries or that I worked in previously. So it's been fantastic. And yeah, quite a wild ride that, we're all still on each and every day.
For sure. A wild roller coaster, for sure. I think you all kind of touched on this already, but is there anything that you learned from the pivots that you made this year? You can just jump in.
Yeah, for me, like totally, Rudy, you said growth mindset, and that was definitely what I was thinking of what I learned this year was developing a growth mindset, and that has by far taken me so much more further in my professional and personal life. So that is number one key skill, I think, for anybody moving forward, is growth mindset.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's interesting that you both mentioned growth mindset. When you look to apply that from concept to reality, what did you guys end up doing?
For me, it's knowing that I might not know the answer to this, and that's okay. I can learn that. There's nothing that's going to stop me. So knowing that, and then also giving myself grace that I will learn this, right, I think was a really tough and important lesson to learn during this whole entire development career.
I think grace is key when we're talking about learning and growing. I know that for myself, I'm also like April, juggling in a family and business and all sorts of crazy things during this time. And it's a lot of like making yourself be okay with what enough is and being enough. And that enough is not this like bad word that I'm not good enough for any of that stuff. And so I think that when you're pivoting and you're changing and all of that, that like giving yourself that grace that what you're doing is great, and that we're all still here, and we're all, making steps forward in whatever, size that is. And I think that finding grace and peace in that, I think, is key. That was really well said, April.
I think a great saying that I recently came across, I was watching a video webinar with a CEO of a management consulting company called Fine Tune. The owner, Rich Ham, said, perfect can't be the enemy of better. And the path to perfect is better, and then better, and then better, and then continuously improving. And I think that really resonated to me. And like, being a developer, you want to do everything perfect the first time, but that really, you can't really strive to that. And you're really needing to continuously improve is hugely important. And if you're improving, 1% every day, then a year from now, I think I looked this up on Reddit, you're 3,778% better than you were. They did the calculation. If you improve 1% each day, whatever that means, of course, but you're 3,778% better person after the end of those 365 days. So yeah.
Wasn't that what we do with development anyways, is small iterations to get us across the line? Yeah, we should apply that to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, some of those, when I think about it, like my time at Learn was great because I did learn how to work on a set of technologies that previously I had no idea about at all. But another important intangible aspect of that was a new framework for how to think about things just in general. And again, so, when we talked about things like separation of concerns, or breaking things down into smaller chunks to try and build out bigger problems, a lot of that stuff translated into building organizations, into building teams, and how to grow those teams even more. And then to understanding key problems or roadblocks that teams might have, especially during these times as well. I mean, it didn't have to necessarily be development teams. It could be cross-functional teams, especially in the modern day working world now. You have a lot of cross-functional teams. You're no longer just that technologist or developer that's working in a silo in your own chair, even though I think some people like to think that you still are that person. But you're not, and you're working with marketing people, you're working with product managers, you're working with other IT and technologists, working with people that have a variety of different understandings of the problem and how they work. And I think each and every single person has this idea on what they can bring to the table, but then honing those all in together so that it's one cohesive idea and one problem that we're all attacking at the same time with different perspectives. A lot of those development techniques and thoughts that we had during our time at Learn, that really helped in doing a lot of just teamwork building and effort building, especially during these times as well, right? And it goes back to that growth mindset from a personal standpoint of view too, right? I mean, separation of concerns for me was like, okay, so if I were going to put that into a work day, it's like, okay, I have my work and I'm working from 8 to 6, maybe 8 to 7, maybe. Those are my hours to work, but I also have other things in my life. Can I cut at certain times and not work and take my mind away from that problem and then have a personal life? Can I make sure that I'm eating? Can I make sure that I'm actually taking vacation time? So that's, a lot of those concepts, they were distilled from a technical perspective, but for me, it was like, okay, how can you take those ideas and those concepts and then apply them to different parts of your life that may not have any sort of tech solution? And for me, that was great, because then you start to understand how people work and how technology actually does influence people in a variety of ways. And, no longer am I just like sitting there, typing out some JavaScript or trying to figure out, how databases are connected with, certain layers of the application. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like stuff like that, you do have to know, and you have to understand from a granular perspective, but you can go beyond that. You can take those concepts and you can apply those to a lot of different things. And it makes life, at least for me, a lot easier.
For sure. That's that's great. I think that being able to look at it from, and not just in your work life, but like every aspect. And that, one of the things that I talk about, right, I try to instill on our team at Learn is that like, if you're overworked, if you're working too much, you're not a productive person on this team. And so we need to make sure that we're taking care of you, that like you are taking the time that you need, that you're like balancing your life, and that as a company, we have to figure out how to support that in the best way we can, because you will be a better employee for us in the long run. And I think that I'm going to say this out loud because I have team members on this team that need vacations that they haven't taken, and maybe they'll hear me because I'm saying it in front of a bunch of people. But that we have to, and myself included, that like I think especially in this year, that you're working really hard, and that everyone has, I know on our team especially, like really trying to make it the best we can, but you then sometimes forget these other aspects, and it's such a juggling act that making sure you're checking in on yourself and on your family and on that outside, and you become a better person to all those other things if you can take care of yourself. And to lean on your people, I think, to me, is probably the thing, but I'll wink at April. To lean on your people during this time and trying to figure it out, because we're all like, so just, I mean, who could have prepared for the year that we had? And so I love what you're saying, Greg, that checking in with yourself on those different areas is great. So if you can look back on this year, what is the one thing that you're most proud of?
For me, it was graduating Learn. Bravo 2020 in the house. And then getting a job right afterwards was pretty amazing. Very proud of myself and proud to be a part of Learn Academy and the family that we've created. So.
For our students on the call, April did a wonderful job. She did exactly what she was supposed to do going into internship. So she did it, and it worked for her. So congratulations.
So don't be afraid to ping her on Slack if you need some advice.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think for me, I think for 2020, it's just been kind of like the birth of my development career. I think I'm just super proud of that. And I think like, trusting in myself that I'm going to be able to gain the skills necessary in order to be a developer and learn is huge. I'm, very, very very, very happy kind of with the progression of where I've been at in growing as a developer. It's been coming from a more of a humanities background, like many career pivotters do, to gaining that kind of engineering mindset, an engineer's mindset is something that I'm very proud of. And yeah, it's been a whole kind of complete evolution. But yeah, very, very proud of growing tremendously this year as a developer and continuing to do so in the next year.
And I think for me, it's getting a chance to be a part of some great new initiatives that have extended from this year. I think coming into 2020, I was thinking, all right, personally, how can I grow and do a lot of stuff? And I still do that, and I think that's great. But I think this year more than ever, I've really started to take a focus on how can I help the people around me, and how can I utilize, or how can we build teams to actually create something very interesting. So one of the things that I've noticed, at least in my personal world of events when it comes to working at companies, is that sometimes you get bogged down by the day-to-day. And whether that's, a product manager, whether that's being in web development, because I was a web developer at IDW beforehand, those jobs are a lot of fun. And IDW publishing, you're working with comics and graphic novels. I mean, it's the best way for somebody to just endlessly or perpetually be a man-child for the rest of their lives. Stuff like that. And for me, this year has really started to make me think about how I'm utilizing my skills to help other people internally within the company, and then how to make things fun, right? Because I mean, a lot of times you'll go into a meeting and the marketing team or the product management's like, okay, well, we need X here, we need X there, and we need this feature to be pushed out in a couple of weeks. And, engineering brain sits there and you're thinking, oh, shoot, that's my next 2 weeks. Those are the features that I'm working on, or these are the bugs that I need to be taking on. And sometimes you get bogged down with that. But I think if there's a way to bring inspiration into the things that you're doing, that for me has really made it a big difference. And so a lot of the times I like making sure that if we're working on a project, it's fun in some way, even if it's boring. Like a lot of the stuff that we're doing now is very much going in and just making sure that everything we have internally is set and right. And that can be a slog. Nobody really wants to take that on very much, but if you can find ways to take those things that nobody wants to do and you can make them fun and engaging and you can push those projects forward, I think, that for me is something that I'll be very, very proud of. I mean, that's internally at the company, but then also being part of this Learn Foundation too, that, we just released last week and that we've been working on for the better part of December and some of the beginning of November too. I think a chance to work with a variety of people that are very, very skilled at what they do, and then coming together to build something for other people, I think is extremely helpful and beneficial. And I think for anybody that's looking to level up their career, this is the time to do it. This is the time to say, okay, who can I connect with in my community? Who can I reach out to that I can be a part of the project? If I don't have a project idea, let me be a part of somebody else's project idea. Let me try to work on somebody else's code, or let me help somebody. We're all talking about small businesses right now. I think this is a great time for small businesses to actually come out and start to think about how they can improve their connections with their customers and how they can start outreaching to new customer segments by doing creative things online. And San Diego definitely has a lot of small businesses that are doing a lot of creative things. And I think this is a great place to be to really start to hone in on those projects. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you that. You don't have to wait for that paycheck to come in. Now is the time to take the initiative and do it. You may not see the financial gains right away, but you will see the experience. You will get to work on interesting problems, especially if you're doing something in the tech, from a tech perspective too. If you're a web developer, help out and build somebody's website right now. I mean, at any point in time, you should be able to do that. Even if you go to somebody and you say, hey, I've actually never built an entire website from beginning to finish. Would you be willing to let me do this for free? Or would you be willing to let me do this as a side gig for a little bit less money than maybe you would normally charge? It's a great way for you to learn these problems. These are real world business problems. And the thing is, for small businesses, they want that kind of help. And you know what? You're here on this call, so you definitely have a network already of people that you can go to when you're stuck, because you're going to get stuck, and that's got to be the fun part of it too. So yeah, that's something I'm going to look very fondly on, is that there are a lot of creative people in this world that are doing some great things, and being a part of these projects and initiatives has been quite impressive.
That's great. I do want to give everyone an opportunity, because I think we do not celebrate our wins often enough, that if you have something that you are really proud of or excited about for this year, throw it into chat so we can give everyone high fives and just celebrate the little things, the little tiny things, the big things, whatever it is. I think it's important. I'm a big fan of celebrating those little tiny wins, and adding those up. So throughout the year. Cool. So now, like, what is it that you're going to take? And we may have already answered this, but if there's anything to add to it, what would you take from this year and bring it into your goals or planning for next year?
I think for me, again, I like to pull quotes from other random people, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. And, you know, for me, that's, you know, continuing to keep my hands on my keyboard, you know, and continuing to code and continuing to grow. And, you know, with that, you know, incremental change, I think is really a huge aspect that I'm going to continue into, from never coding before to now coding every day, and having completed also the 100 Days of Code project that I put on my Twitter profile, which is really exciting, to, you know, always committing to continuing my practice like a foreign language. You need to keep up with the trends and learn the new words and learn the new ways of doing things and saying things. So yeah, just really taking that into the new year is going to be huge for me. And yeah, very much looking forward to that.
So I know for me, we learned a little bit about test-driven development in Learn Academy. And at my current job, we've been diving into it a little bit more. So learning about unit tests, feature specs, making sure how to set up an RSpec test, and then all the different technologies that are out there to help us automate through our pipeline. So using like the Selenium Chrome browser, driving that automation for UI front-end development testing. So learning that and then bringing it into the new year and really like doubling down on that, because I think that that's going to be very beneficial for me as a developer and giving me that confidence that I need to level up and you know, take it a little bit further for next year. So I'm excited about that.
For me, I think I have two goals. Number one, personally, it would be to study human performance from a biological and psychological level a little bit more. So is a developer and then somebody now who's in product management, so I don't develop as much. But that takes a big toll on you. And I think it took a big toll on me in a variety of ways. I couldn't context switch. So if I was spending 8 hours a day sitting there clacking away, trying to come up with these problems, I felt great. Those 8 hours were gone. But then the minute that the eighth hour was done and I got up to go do something else, it wasn't going to happen. Like my conversations with people were really hard and stressful and strenuous. And it was really hard for me to like think about any other problem any other way. So really just trying to find ways to feel more like a human as I sort of bury my head into a bunch of problems for the oncoming 2021. But also the other thing is I really want to extend my hand to a lot more people and help them out with any questions that they have. I really want to try to find ways to extend a positive network to start to really find people who are interested in learning about new things and working through their problems and helping them come to terms with what they're dealing with as well. So this, I guess, is my formal invitation to anybody that has a problem or something that they're working on that they would like at least somebody to come back and just have 15 to 30 minutes to talk about and chat with whatever's going on. Let me know, and we can definitely set some time up for later.
Craig, do you want to post maybe in the chat where people can find you?
Yeah, let me just type in my email address. I'll give you guys my personal email address if you guys want to reach out. Feel free, any questions you have. Yeah, definitely reach out. Really looking forward to seeing what everybody has to either offer or have any questions, and definitely, yeah.
Do you guys have any goals you want to share for 2021?
Yes. So with the Learn Foundation, I'm really excited to be a part of this. I think everybody is super amazing that's part of the council right now, but I really want to help grow this program out. So this is helping people in underserved communities get a chance to get their education in STEM and give them a bump. There is no way that even I myself would have been able to do what I'm doing now, or even have made it to San Diego and attended Learn myself without help from somebody else or from a variety of people. So, I mean, it really took a community of people to help me get there. And I think the Learn Foundation is a place that is also going to help other people get there and give them that bump and give them that confidence and give them the tools that they can take to really succeed and do something amazing. I think there are a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and a lot of, just unfocused or unchanneled or even just like nobody's been given a chance. And I think that's one of the things that I'd really like to do with the Learn Foundation. So that's 2021 is going to be a big year for that. I'm very excited for that.
Same.
Yeah, I echo that, Greg, for sure. I think a theme for me for 2021 will be definitely like giving back and uplifting others for sure. In my dev career so far to date, it's really been huge thanks to, instructors that I've had that supported me, my Learn mentor that was assigned to me from Learn, supervisors that I've had at my current position right now that I'm really grateful for, people taking the time to really help me out. Going from zero to 60, in the dev world and becoming a developer is tough. And we're so grateful and so fortunate. We know those people who have put in the extra time and sweat equity and understanding and helping us learn and grow, and really wanting to give that back and pay it forward. So, really for 2020 is I hope one day to be a mentor and an inspiration to others as well. And very much following along the same lines as Greg that you stated. And eager and excited to do that. And it's such a wonderful community, growing from the Learn community as well, but just the tech community in general is supportive in that way, and excited for the future in that respect.
Cool. All right, last question, and then I'm going to open it up if anyone else has any questions. But what piece of technology are you the most excited about for 2021?
I'm still excited about this Bella platform. and I can't get off that. I really want to start making my own musical instruments and finding cool ways to just play music and move and do things so I don't have to sit in front of the computer all day, every day. Because like 3/4 of my hobbies right now have to deal with me sitting in front of the computer. At some point, I'm going to go crazy if I don't get up and do something else. So yeah, the Bella platform, really looking forward to digging into that and just finding different ways to utilize it in a creative aspect. So it doesn't necessarily relate to like IDW publishing or telling graphic novels per se right away, but it does help with creating ways to think about storytelling. So if you are somebody that's looking to program or develop new technologies, one of the things to look at is how are your creations telling new stories? How are they communicating with other people? What are you doing? I mean, because there's a lot of cool technologies that are coming out. And I think part of the fear with some of these technologies is that we haven't really realized what some of the capabilities we have in order to utilize them for a variety of things. I mean, there are some nefarious things that you could potentially use with a lot of these technologies, but there's also a lot of good things. And I think switching that story so that it's not all just rainbows and stars and things like that, but it's just a way to add in positivity to the things that you're building. The way that you can see what outcome you're building comes from that. And I think that's, for me, the Bella is sort of like that small little piece of technology that I can come to and really be a part of that narrative.
I mean, I think it's super. We're super fortunate to work in an industry that is so exciting and is so dynamic, and things go real quick, and the pace of technology is huge, and there's so many cool things to look forward to as well. A couple things that I'm looking forward to is I code predominantly in the Vue framework, Vue library, and looking forward to a lot of different upgrades in Vue 3, which is the latest release right now. I always like to look at Vue as a framework for the people. It's not Angular with Google, or it's not React with Facebook, but kind of an open source project that's super exciting and growing in popularity. I think other interesting things to keep an eye on is like the no code and the low code movement, kind of how that's going to how that's going to work with developers, and how companies are going to kind of take on potentially no code projects on their own. Working at a virtual reality company, I think augmented and mixed reality is going to be super exciting and super interesting things to be on the horizon and to look out for. The company that I worked at, Nanome, was featured in Facebook's new Oculus Quest 2 kind of release. No, that's super exciting, kind of these new forms of mediums where people can interact with technology. And of course, for me as well, I'm super interested in blockchain and the evolution of that. And it's just a nonstop kind of thrill ride with blockchain and how things are moving forward very quickly with that.
Gosh, I feel so boring. I'm not really excited about anything but setting up the smart home so that we can work just a little bit more efficiently.
So cool. The smart home.
That is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not boring at all.
Not boring. I could tell you, my Rob, who works with April, is my husband, and our house is all sorts of smart things happen, and it is super cool because you can set up all these different things. The only problem is when they don't work and you like can't turn a light on. And I was in a meeting once and I have a light in my office that I can only turn on with an app, and I could not get into it. And so I had to text Rob and be like, can you turn on this light? I'm like in the dark in this meeting. But I think it's awesome. It's really fun to play with.
No, it really is. There's so much that you can do with it. I know you have the smart lock. You were talking to me about that. I went and got a smart lock. I think it's great that I can sit behind my desk, and when my mother-in-law comes over and she expects me to get up and open the door for her, if I'm in a meeting or like working, I can't do that. So then I could just be like, bloop, and let her in. All things great now. If I can wrangle kids just by setting off an Alexa routine, that's a good day in my book.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, Before I open it up, I do want to thank you guys for having such a candid conversation with me about your year and what you're looking forward to in the new year. I think, you know, you've all really accomplished some pretty amazing stuff this year, both the small things and big things. And I think, you know, coming together and talking about those things, talking about what was hard, and I think is really important. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for being open and transparent and honest with us about your journey always. But before we close out, does anyone else have any questions or really is there anyone that wants to like share anything in their journey that they're excited about? Or I'm happy to just open the table. Alejandro.
I just want to like share something.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Like, I don't know. I'm in the Echo cohort. We're right in the middle of like resumes, and like we're getting ready to go into our like the capstone and then like internships after that. But it's crazy how welcoming like this whole community is. Like when Greg and Rudy were talking, like it literally like it touched my heart. Like I could tell that you guys really want to help and like want to give back. And it's, I don't know, it's something like I've worked in a couple different sectors, and like I've never experienced anything like that in any sector. Usually it's people just kind of looking out for themselves. Like I've had mentors and like it's been cool, but no one like it. This community is all about the team, and like it's really unique. It's really cool, and I think it's really special. I don't know. Thank you guys. That was it. Like it really touched my heart. It really, I could feel how genuine you guys were when you guys were saying that, and like as someone who's just coming in and like is nervous about like hey like I don't know, imposter syndrome kicks in. Like you're like I'm getting it, but like am I really getting it? Like am I really gonna be able to survive out there? And I don't know. It's I don't know. It's really cool knowing that it's such a welcoming community and so much support that it makes me feel like, hey, I can do this. So I'm just excited for what's to come, and thank you guys. That was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, you're very welcome. And again, like hands down, I have, you know, I went to college before this, and I think I talked to maybe one or two people from my alumni network there, and that's about it. So when I went to Learn, I wasn't expecting this kind of community, and it's just crazy to see what this kind of community can potentially do and how much it's already affected. And the more alumni we get, you know, that community only just gets bigger and bigger. But I see it as it getting bigger without sacrificing any of the human tendencies that people have. And I think that's made it extremely special, right? And with imposter syndrome and stuff like that, we've all been there too. We've all been through those things. So, you know, if you ever have any questions about how to get through those moments, or if you have any challenging questions, like for me, I started my first job right out of Learn, and I was the only web developer there. And that scared me to no end. And within the first week, I think I had crashed the site, or at least the main e-commerce site. And so, I mean, for me, I was completely out of my element and had no idea what I was doing, but it was nice to have that your Learn cohort is a great place to also get that there, but also just, you know, other community members that you're able to keep in touch with. You can say, all right, okay, so before you go completely or nuclear meltdown, just take a step back and really think about what's going on. And that's made all the difference. That's kind of cool.
I think one of the benefits to this year, I suppose, is that this community, I think is getting even stronger, because before our cohorts would leave, they'd leave the nest. Sometimes, you know, they wouldn't be as active on Slack and things like that. But I think with being in COVID and having more people online, that like our alumni from years back, people are getting more involved and more connected. And I've been really thankful to like have that this year, that like it's been really exciting to kind of see some folks who we haven't seen in a while, like come back and want to get more involved. And I think that a lot of that has to do with that we're learning to engage with each other in this new medium. And I think people are really seeking out that community, and that it's helped this the Learn team and the Learn community would just grow and connect with each other in a way that is really exciting to me.
I have to say, Alejandro, in 6 to 9 months, get ready for a great party. Learn throws a great party. It was at the 5-year anniversary, and Learn was known with the reason why it chose Learn was for the community aspect, and held so many great events pre-COVID, and it was such a beautiful space on J Street. And yeah, so get ready for that. 6 to 9 months from now, post-vaccine.
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to celebrate all the things that we have not been able to celebrate. If anything, yeah, our 7th anniversary, is that 2022? We'll throw a big old party, January 2022. Great. Well, if there aren't any more questions or thoughts.
I just wanted to say real quick, hi everybody. Sorry I came late. Thank you all for coming again. I just want to echo exactly what everyone is saying. Learn has been like the best decision like I've ever made. Like I came from just like when I went to school and like even the industry I was involved in before, like everyone's just super competitive. Everyone just cares about themselves. But ever since like I started hitting up Learn Academy alumni for like a year now, everyone's always just been so nice. All the speakers that they bring in are so incredible, and just I just feel so lucky and so happy to be here. But yeah, I just want to say that real quick. Thank you all again.
Thanks, Yumi. Yeah, I appreciate all of you for being part of the community and being here. And I mean, all of you that are currently going through the cohort and going into your internships or finishing your internships, that you're just as much a part of it as all of these alumni, and you're also what makes it as great as it is. And so, thank you for being here. I hope everyone has a great holiday break, whatever that means to you, that you stay safe and healthy and take care of yourself and keep learning. Those of you that are in the class and taking a 2-week break, don't stop, keep going, do your assessments and all the things Sarah told you have to do. But yeah, thank you everyone for closing out this year in a really awesome way.
Thank you, Chelsea.